I ain't gonna lie. I remember this one time when I was younger. My mom said, "Chris, please make sure you take that meat out so that I can be able to cook dinner that night." And you know, me being this 10-year-old kid in the house all by himself, I'm like, "Yeah, sure, mom, I got you. I'm gonna take care of it. I'm gonna take care of it." Well, all I did that day was watch TV, play video games, and eat. So by the time I heard her car door slam, my anxiety went through the roof. And now I'm over here trying to put the meat under hot water and put it in a microwave, basically risking salmonella just so my mom wouldn't know that I didn't take the meat out. And best believe I got a whooping for it. I learned a very valuable lesson that day. She said, "Baby, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail." Today's episode is all about procrastination. And I also want to mention that we have my first official guest, a community leader, life coach, diversity consultant, and mother, Miss Yonte Lishae. The gems that are about to be dropped, ladies and gentlemen, you better stay tuned for this one. My name is Wise, and this is the LikeMinds podcast. Roll the clip.
Bring the chorus in.
Keep on shining.
Yo, what's up, people? It is your boy Wise reporting live, and to my left, who do I have here? I need to see my guest first. My guest, Miss Yonte Lishae, is in the building, and then also Miss Most Precious Gift, my co-host, she is in the building as well. This is the LikeMinds podcast, people, and today's episode is all about procrastination. Now, I got to make sure I do this right. I already did it in the monologue, but Miss Yonte Lishae, please tell the people who you are, and just give like a little summary of you. Really quickly.
Thank you, Wise. That's a little complicated.
It's a little complicated.
Multifaceted.
Definitely.
Woman, individual, goddess. I'm from Denver, Colorado. I'm a native. I'm a community activist. I'm a mother of two children that are phenomenal. I've got one in college. I got one that's 11.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Nice. Amazing. I only got one, so I'm cool with my one.
He just getting started. He's gonna be an old daddy, but we're not gonna talk about
We're
that.
not gonna. You already started, and we
I'm
literally
gonna love this episode.
This episode's gonna be amazing.
Okay.
Oh man. So look, today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, again, it's all about procrastination. Tell me, Miss Yonte, what has been your dealings with procrastination? Do you believe that is a real thing? Do you believe that only geniuses can have it and it can work, just work in their favor? What do you believe procrastination is to you?
I think that there are two dimensions of procrastination. There's the healthy procrastination that we all have, and then there's procrastination that's associated or linked to a mental health disorder, ADHD.
Okay.
And there are two very different dynamics. Procrastination in its form of ADHD is very severe. It impacts your financials, your work life, your relationships. It's just broad spectrum procrastination.
Definitely.
All right. See, all right. She already started. She just that's a great answer. that's just a great answer.
We know how to pick them.
We know. First of all, let's major shout out to Miss Most Precious Gift because she brought Miss Yonte on. So tell me, what is it like being a community activist, and what does that truly mean to you, and what is your goals with that?
Right.
Community activism looks a lot different. Sometimes when you look in society, you'll see. Your reverends, after there's been a police brutality, and that's kind of like what we associate with a community activist. But there are those of us who are down, boots on the ground, that aren't in front of the television press screens, that are moving momentums, and that's either whether that's legislation or workplace policies. In my case, I've raised my children. I was a teen mom. I beat the statistics. I went and got a
Nice.
college degree.
Congratulations to you. Yes, ma'am.
Started my career.
Yeah.
I've been the only Black woman in a lot of spaces and places that I've been
Mhm.
in, and I started to see that there was some dimensions that I needed to change, and the only way I could change that was through my voice. And I also seen my community as I started to rise in my career. I started to see how my community was actually suffering.
Right.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
And so I decided not to leave my community behind in my growth, but to actually start making some changes through legislation. I got elected in Castle Rock,
Definitely.
which I was told I couldn't do.
See,
Definitely.
look at God.
Look at God.
Look at God working.
Look at God. I went into diversity and inclusion to start advocating in the workplace for things like pay equity and promotional opportunities. I went into corporate giving so that I could help support giving initiatives in our communities. It's different when you have people who've never lived in the communities that they're serving deciding where that money goes.
Oh, we getting deep.
Yes, we are.
We getting deep today.
So that's my form of community activism.
Gotcha.
Is actually being behind the scenes and talking to the people that can move some things and getting those initiatives moved and just being a part of the change.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's just some really insightful things. It's like, all right, like, from there, see, now we got to go super deep. Now we got to turn the tide. We're going to try to keep it simple, and then we're going to try to move a little bit deeper in conversation later. So I got another question for you. What are some key attributes to a successful community activist like yourself?
I think that there aren't key attributes to a successful activist. You should be an activist. You should be an activist. Everyone watching or listening should be an activist in your own right. We all have our own talent, skills, our own network, our own passions. And really, if you are relying on 1, 2, 500 people to serve and be the voice of millions of people, we're never going to move these initiatives as fast as we could.
Right.
So there is no perfect community activist.
No.
The one thing that you have to do is have some boldness. So you need to embody a spirit of boldness.
I definitely have that. That's for sure.
You are very
That's
bold.
that's that
Why are you
throat
looking at me?
chakra. That's
Why she
working on
looking
that
at me
throat
like that?
chakra.
Listen, I'm sitting next to some of the most boldest people that
Absolutely.
I know. So
Especially that one. She definitely bold.
oh, yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. You need to be bold,
Yes.
Okay.
passionate,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to find your voice.
When does that passionate? I want to touch on that one. So when does that passionate lead to arrogance?
What is that? Passionate and arrogance? Arrogance to me is having a confidence in something that you actually have no skill set or ability to do.
Okay, I agree with
That's
that.
when we get a little narcissistic.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
won't touch base on that.
We ain't gonna touch base on that today. She trying to get me today. She already started. I'm putting myself out there.
Passion and arrogance are completely different
They
things.
two
Arrogance
completely
is a
different
form of
things.
confidence, right? It's just elevated confidence. Passion is actually having something that you believe in and you want to drive a purpose. So your passion could be, right now, your passion is this podcast.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly.
Lexi's podcast, Lexi's passion is healing people.
Exactly.
And my passion is serving others. I have a servant's heart.
I think we all supposed to serve. I think every job and every role that we do in life is all about community service. So it doesn't matter what job or what position that you have. If you're serving and helping, it's automatically going to come back tenfold.
Absolutely.
I believe that wholeheartedly. Let's go back a little bit with procrastination, right? Have you had procrastination lead you to success actually later down the line? Has that ever happened to you in a way? No, you never. So you don't truly believe that, like, it's.
I think
Because you said before it was healthy. You said before, like, it's, at some point it can be healthy, but then once you just start like delaying, it's like
my procrastination was never healthy.
Oh,
I never had the healthy form of procrastination because I believe that I am a sufferer of ADHD.
okay.
A lot of women go undiagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
Black folks especially
Black
go
folks.
undiagnosed because we don't seek mental health. We typically don't even go get checked.
We don't like.
Well, because we don't believe in it.
We don't. No,
We
we
don't
don't
believe
like.
in getting help.
A doctor gonna tell me what? I'm like, a doctor that's gonna tell you, who has over 20 plus years of experience,
Listen,
I can tell you a lot better than what your remedies maybe could do, or what you believe from what your parents told you. You know, because we always were told, especially as us, like, hey, go get that Robitussin.
Go get Robitussin.
Go get that Robitussin. Go lay down for a few
Rub
hours.
the aloe vera on you, the aloe vera plant.
Yeah.
Let's cut it and rub it on you.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Yeah,
just
that does
gonna
work, though.
expose some frustrations I have.
Go
with that.
ahead. Go ahead.
I spent 7 years in the medical field.
Mhm.
That's how I funded myself through college. I took care of my baby.
And I have 14 years in it.
Yep. And I was in the critical care tech, you know, and in the neural trauma ICU, taking care of gunshot wounds at 18 years old.
Out here.
I understand, like, as being a Black woman, what we culturally believe in. The
Right.
frustration is you will show up when you think you're going to die.
That's the yeah. I don't know why.
Won't you?
Why does that like that sense of urgency come in at that
Why do you
point?
trust the doctors then when you think that you're on your last leg? If you don't actually believe in the medicine or the people that, you know,
Right.
are administering the medicine and the science and the technology, why show up when death is knocking on your doorstep?
Well, my family's from Shreveport, Louisiana, and my grandmother lived on the farm, and till this day, and she was taught that going to the doctor is a waste of time, because they live so far because they're at a farm. So most of the technicalities that went on, or someone got hurt, they dress wounds themselves. They did the natural herbs and the natural healing themselves. So I just think that is generational of how we are taught. And then
That
it's
conditioning is
generation of conditioning that does not work or is dysfunctional in the Black community. So, you know, to the day, she's like, why are you going to a doctor? You know, and I have to make her take her medication. I have to restore what she thought was to be true, that you may do need some more help. You know, you may need some more healing, you know, and that takes time because that's how she was conditioned.
And it's passed on multi-generation, right? It's
Yes.
not just
It's multi-
us
yeah.
going
That's
in
what
for
I'm saying.
our physicals, but also when it comes to mental health, which is also a form of health care.
Yes, ma'am.
We've been using the Bible to treat that.
I swear we
For
did.
Definitely
generations.
have.
I mean,
Speaking
don't
in
get me wrong.
tongues.
Yeah, God got us, but you still
know,
gotta go to the doctor,
That's
my
not
G.
a mental health
Yeah.
disorder. You need deliverance.
Yeah, that's
Right?
it. That's
Right.
like
You need a healing.
I'm like, what?
You know,
That
And
can't just be that.
sometimes you need a counselor. You don't need someone to pray over you and speak tongues over you. Sometimes, you know, you can say, someone, you know, God's going to take care of all this stuff. But at the same time, we got to be in a space where, you know what, are we doing self-care? So we always bring this self-care, self-healing thing back to the show. So that's where we got to say, well, my thought is, I feel like counselors, trauma counselors, addiction counselors should be in the church. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Working on the whole family bounds and creating a space where it's not government bound. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's create a space for people where they can heal spiritually, mentally, emotionally, all around the board, so that we can be successful in our kids, raise them up at the way that they should go, right?
Yeah.
Why are we not doing it in the Black church settings?
Because that church is not that church, but that space is not always the safest to go to. There's a lot of judgmental in that
Exactly.
space. There's a lot of you doing this. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's like
It's about the money.
it's about the money. We do see that a lot. Especially with like the pastor's kids.
Oh, yeah.
The pastor kids are the main ones that are wilding out and being out here in these streets. But then they
Yeah.
try to talk to their congregation, and it's like, bruh, I just seen it too many times. It doesn't yield the best results in my book. So
Let's circle back on the fear,
Mhm.
because it's really fear associated with like mental health,
Definitely.
support the Black community, especially when it comes to like getting support for our children, right? Early on, because we're gonna tie that procrastination into
I was just
ADHD,
gonna
right?
say.
yeah.
And we start noticing some things, maybe unrest with our children. You know, it might be a
Mm-hmm.
little active. You having trouble in school. I'm gonna blame the teacher. You know, things like
Yeah.
that.
Them parent teacher conferences.
Listen,
Yo,
Wild.
my
I
child
done had that
didn't
type
do
of
this.
parent. I
He
done had that
didn't
type of
do
parent.
this.
Yes,
my
they
mom was
did.
not like that. My mom did not play that. I had to have a good report every single time. I was required to respect those who were leading my education.
Uh-huh.
But when it came to mental health support, there's a distrust because the counselors typically, especially in urban communities, are they Black?
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Okay.
Not a lot of certifications for them to even have that.
A lot of times, if you don't have private insurance, which many don't, you rely on the school counselor, the school therapist. And guess what we're worried about? We're worried that our children will say something and then
they get taken
because they don't
will be
understand.
Reported and then it's done.
Child Protective Services, which I have spent the last 5 years fighting with and working with alongside the Department of Human Services. It is another form of slavery.
Definitely is.
I want to tell you why I make the accusation.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I never make accusations I can't back up.
Back it up. She about to back it up.
Boxing us in corners. Boxing us.
We children of color.
We're
talking about Black and brown. When I refer to Black and brown as a diversity practitioner, I'm talking about Hispanic, Native American.
Based.
I don't use the word minority.
That's fine.
I use the word minority.
Minority includes us.
Because minority is really demeaning.
It is demeaning.
Small.
We're minor.
So you know what I
You're
use?
major.
I use this acronym called HUG, historically underrepresented groups. Meaning we have not had the representation that we need in legislation, in our communities. Right. So I just like to use a HUG and versus minorities because it's demeaning to us. It's like, yeah, you're the lesser. We're not, So our HUG, our historically underrepresented children, Black and brown, are taken from their homes, removed disproportionate rates, alarming rates.
Definitely.
Okay, we're talking like 7 out of 10. Okay, when there are programs in places, there's programs in place where, hey, if CPS approaches a vanilla child, you guys will notice I don't use the word white.
Yes,
I use white to refer to a personality type, vanilla to refer to a race.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
So. When it comes to vanilla families that are faced with CPS investigations, there are programs that are referred to. There are people brought into the home to help support them so that CPS does not remove their kids. When it comes to
they snatch our kids
quick. They're gone. They can get a court order with a simple phone call with no evaluation or investigation.
That's crazy that's the.
And so it's another form of slavery. The Department of Human Services does not have things in place that actually protect our children. In fact, the children end up with a lot more. They're subject to higher rates of sexual abuse.
Definitely. Drug and alcohol abuse.
Prison systems.
Suicide.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch. We have odds that are just stacked against
missing and never found is the biggest one.
Correct.
Because they don't want to look for us.
And they don't talk about it.
So it's another form of slavery that's very triggering because it's like, hey, we're still having our children snatched from us. So am I actually going to, my daughter, I live in an area that's 99% vanilla.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
99%.
The looks that you get.
My child, you know what? It's not in my community. It's outside of my community where I go shopping.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. At the grocery store, you just getting produce and they just looking at you like, what?
They're curious about it.
Yeah, like, what you like? How'd you get here?
They asked me that. What I did for work, I told them I was a exotic dancer, and I did.
And she's playing.
I know I didn't. I did tell him that.
I know, but
but that's not the actual
wasn't really
career. She wasn't really. All my subscribers, no, she's not really on that.
You know that.
No, it was a social experiment. They're freaking out right now. But
let the audience.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm living in a 99% area, 99% vanilla, and I'm walking my dog. A neighbor comes through. I've been dodging them because I'm not a neighborly neighbor. I'm friendly, but I'm not a neighborly neighbor.
Okay, I bet.
I'm just on a neighborly. I like
you
to
you like being in your own
space. This is my abode. Yes. If I don't ever want to not like you, and I have to live here next to you for 30 years.
At least I want to be. At least I could be in the comfort of my own home and don't ever have to see you.
I'm just saying. I'm just on a neighborly neighbor. I don't know why, but I'm just not. And so he approaches me and he asks me. He says, "Hey, I see you just moved in the neighborhood." And he gets right down to it. And he's like, "What do you do for work?" And I know that is a questioning that he's asking me is like, hey, how can you be in this neighborhood? We've already noticed that there's no man in that household, so what you do for work?
What you doing here?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Funny thing is I had a bear suit on, right? A whole bear suit on.
Oh,
I had sunglasses on. And I was walking my dog. And I said, I was an exotic dancer. And he's like perplexed. And I was looking really serious. And he said, well, how did that work for you in COVID? I said, well, fine. I closed on my house on time. And then I went back to my house, right? Hold on. We had a block party 3 months later.
Oh, that spread. I knew that. I know that spread.
Of course. That was my whole point. We had a block party.
Dancer. She's over dancer right there.
Yeah, that one right there. She's an exotic dancer.
I wonder, was she in Vegas?
I wanted to teach my neighbors a lesson with my arrival there. So we had a block party about 3 months later. I go to the block party bearing gifts. And one of the wives says, so Yonte, what do you do for work? And I say, oh, I'm in corporate giving. I'm diversity expert. And the husband was like, you told me that you were an exotic dancer. And I told everybody that here. And I said, of course
he did.
That's exactly what I knew you would do. And that was the whole purpose, right? Of like, you were trying to see what I did so that you can kind of
justify,
try to measure and try to figure out why or how it was there.
Right.
And those are those unconscious biases that arise. The same thing happens when we're talking about mental health in our community. The same thing. Sure. We have biases that have been passed on to us how many generations?
400 plus. 400 plus years. Just multiple. It's from the beginning of time, I believe. It's just us. I believe that we always have a disadvantage, especially when it comes to mental health. So anytime that we get diagnosed, it's like, they're just a bad child, or you're doing too much, or hey, let's just put him over here away from everybody just so he or she doesn't affect the rest of the community that's here. And it's like, yo, come on. Everybody should have that. We all have a brain, so we all should have that equal opportunity to be afforded with the same respect and the same care and the same love that everybody else shares. But not everybody sees it that way because of their conditioning.
Well, I think we're locked up like animals. I have various family members that have had schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, anxiety, multiple personality disorder, and they just throw you in juvenile hall. They throw you in jail without help, and so that makes us worse. So when you let us back into the community,
we don't know how to act in it.
Exactly. So that means that you already put 10 counts of felonies on us, so that now we can't live, we can't own a house, we can't, we can't,
and
you know what I'm saying, push forward.
Us try to get and on top of all of that, let us try to get a business.
Oh,
in a district, like that's the thing. Like you approve us for a house loan for like $1 million or whatever. Like, oh yeah, like we'll give you the money for the house, but you will not give us the money for that business because if we empower ourselves to actually elevate, we can outdo you. And then we take your block, and then we take your city, we take your state, we take the country, and at that point you done. So
I have to disagree with that.
You disagree with that?
I do.
I love this. I was finna say it, but you said it first. So.
Nah.
You don't want to challenge me?
I'll challenge you for sure. I'll definitely challenge you for sure.
Okay, cool. Meanwhile, we rocking the same zodiac sign.
That's right. That's why we Libra gang.
Scorpio gang.
I think that now more than ever in the prior decades we have access to establish businesses. In fact,
yes, I do believe that. Yes,
more women have established businesses at alarming rates. They're leaving their workplace and they're starting businesses, and namely,
yes, I've seen it.
The ones who are guess which demographic is the highest starting businesses right now?
Of course, black women.
Black women.
Black women, yeah.
Okay,
sure.
Like us right here.
So sometimes, so there are resources out there. I think that a lot of times because we have this mentality that has just perpetuated 400 years of oppression, right?
Yes.
It's like we automatically think, hey, there's a resource, but they're not going to give it to me. So you never go, right? So you got the SBA.
Yeah,
you got
had SBA before. Yeah.
You got all these different chambers of commerce that are
NAACP.
You can get business coaching. You get access
in Denver.
To grants,
they have one in
plan.
Denver.
I'm letting y'all know, like, if
there's resources there.
If you want to, your resources are there. You have to take the initiative, and that goes back to again that procrastination thing. Sometimes that procrastination thing is a result of some generational trauma, or it could be a mental health disorder, or a combination of both. Because, like Lexi just said, we've got a bloodline of untreated mental health conditions. There's some fear associated with not, and then there's barriers.
Yes.
when you have those barriers, this is what I tell people when I'm having conversations with them, because I went through a point in my life where people were telling me, take care of yourself, self-care. And I was hearing that from, my loved ones. They call it like, love yourself, respect yourself, my chocolate people.
How do you do
at
that?
work, the people that I work with, right?
How do you do that?
How do we do that? We don't know.
I didn't know how to do
We
that.
literally don't know.
I
So
didn't know how to do that.
sometimes it's not procrastination. Sometimes you just do not have the tools or do not know the tools to get there.
You don't know what you don't know.
Correct. So I knew I needed to take care of myself, right?
Mhm.
My coworkers were telling me I was working a lot. I was going to school. I was taking care of a family. I was in a relationship that was traumatic. I was taking care of my extended family. And I was just pushing through. And they're like, take care of yourself, take care of yourself.
Survival mode.
Because people
I'm
can
in that
tell.
one. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Well,
People can tell when
brown people stay in that.
It's not just brown people.
It's not just brown. No.
Hey.
But we are the ones that
I
are
think
on
that-
display.
I
I believe that.
You know what? I think racially, if we were talking about racially, I think yes, survival mode. But that's a historical thing.
Okay.
But it's not just survival mode that was pushing that way. It was a number of different factors, right?
Mhm.
So when you the first in your family do this or that,
Go to college.
then there's this extra responsibility that comes with that.
And that
Yeah.
pressure comes in right along
Yeah.
with it.
The more that
Everything
you
else.
have, the more they want access to.
Yeah.
Let's be real about
Definitely.
that as well, right?
That's true.
And when you are a black woman, or just a woman, period. Black, brown women. I think black and brown women really resonate because I think we have similar cultural
We definitely do.
responsibilities a lot. You are expected to be the matriarch. You make the decisions. You take care of your elders. You take care of your husband, your spouse, your boyfriend, your kids, your job. There's all these additional, and it's like self-care. What is that? I was like, okay, well, let's get my hair and my nails done. Right?
It's more
Right.
than that.
That's
It's
what we
more
got.
to it than that, though.
I mean, this was happening in phases.
All right.
Right?
Okay. Right. Okay.
Right?
Got you.
It's
Got
like,
you.
This is okay. Get my hair and nails done. Okay, that was. Let's step that up a little bit. Then it was like massages, right?
Chiropractor.
Then it was like it got to a point where I was operating under so much stress that I didn't even know I was stressed. My body.
Ooh, your body, bro. Like, did it break down on you? Like,
No,
just,
my symptoms, like any ideas of symptoms that would like indicate high stress were just a mess. So I went to the doctor for my physical. I was supposed to record a podcast for work that day. I'm in a hurry. I was like checking off a box because like Cigna gives you like dollars if you. Do
Oh,
these
okay.
things.
Got you. Okay.
So I go in for my physical. I'm in a hurry. And she takes my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was 202 over 135.
What? Yo.
Because we procrastinate on our self-care.
Thank you.
A lot of
We do.
times because we don't know what it really looks like, and no one's telling us
There's no
what
examples.
it looks like. So when we procrastinate on our care, we procrastinate on our mental health, our spirituality. We're spiritually dead, right? All this is a ripple effect.
We just working off like a shell. I know a lot of people working off of a shell, and it's like, you're not even really here right now. Like spiritually, you just not.
And you miss things when you do
And you
that.
miss things, yeah.
So
I get that.
you find yourself in a situation where you're like, okay, now I have to slow down everything I'm doing and really, really, really determine what this idea of self-care is. What does it mean for me to take care of me? Right? So I completely exited relationships and was like, I'm dating me only for a year minimum.
Okay.
Man,
I went and got a therapist.
I got a therapist too. Yeah.
I went and got a therapist. I said, this
Get
is
a
not
therapist.
working.
Get a therapist.
Yes.
It's okay to talk to somebody. You don't have to
Yes.
just be out here and be
I
like,
talk to
I don't even
somebody
talk to nobody.
on a
No.
Yes.
yearly basis.
Yes.
I talk to everybody
I
weekly.
did that too. I grabbed a therapist. I grabbed 2 spiritualists. I got a pastor, and then I got a girl here.
Mm-hmm.
I called a nutritionist.
Oh, I need that one.
I got a nutritionist.
I got
now.
a gut. I got a gut a little bit, so I need that for sure.
So we all got a good.
I got
Get
mine.
that sculpted
You know
up
what I'm
real
saying?
quick.
I'm trying to get my
look, flush
right.
out.
I'm trying to be on the beach with my little 4-pack. You know what I'm saying? Not even a 6. Just give me 4. And I'm good.
Nobody want to see that.
Who don't want to see a 4?
No, we want to see 8.
I'm sorry. Everybody ain't built. See,
See, I told you to go to the gym, Wise. You was like, nah. I'm not
everybody
gonna do
ain't
that.
built like that. I'm sorry.
I told you to go to Wise, let out that, that stress, that Wise stress.
I need.
The wise
Hey,
stress.
what you do?
And
see,
still
she
work
already-
on that chisel body.
When you talk about about, belly fat, the
Mm-hmm.
reason why a lot of times what I found is that we're carrying the stress through
And
cortisol.
trauma right here.
Cortisol.
I did hear about that. I heard about
Cortisol
that term.
causes that belly fat. That same visceral fat actually like doubles or triples your likelihood of having a heart attack, which is why Black folks.
So I can't eat that 4 for $4 later on from Wendy's.
You know that's your favorite.
I mean, have you a 4 for $4? We talking about cortisol and stress here.
I'm just talking. Y'all talking about that. I'm talking about the food. Can I not eat that? Is that
Call the
gonna...
nutritionist. I don't know. I don't think that would be recommended. No,
That's probably
foods.
not. It's probably I can't.
No
yeah.
processed foods.
I want to eat some rice and asparagus with some salmon, and I want something like that. But hey,
mental health,
But-
self-healing, self-care. We still keep going back to that.
Yes.
I know.
Even
It's a process. It's a process.
so it got worse.
Okay.
So they take me to the emergency room. I'm over here. I'm like, man, I'm chilling. Like I don't feel nothing, right? My doctor's freaking out. They think I had a stroke. They do a brain scan. No stroke.
No
but
stroke.
They find a tumor.
Y'all are built different. How y'all can be function. Y'all got functioning capabilities, and y'all on damn near on y'all deathbed.
This whole time,
Absolutely.
Excuse my language.
this whole
Right.
time, and she's doing all of this work and community activists and
Your body
being a
didn't-
chair for all these different committees. I mean,
Don't
bizarre.
procrastinate on your self care. That's basically all it is. Don't do that. It's not worth it. So
It's not. Then it becomes a realization very suddenly.
Real
Right?
quick.
It's like
then we want
Okay.
to move.
so what's going on now, Yonte?
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
that you know that you have a little tumor there, what are you doing now when it comes to procrastinating and your self-care, self-love, and taking care of yourself now?
well, I have undiagnosed ADHD. When I say
Yes, undiagnosed,
meaning like I'm very aware of the clinical symptoms. I check off the boxes.
but you just haven't went to a doctor yet. Actually.
No, I have a
Oh, okay,
therapist.
got therapist.
I just didn't.
She doesn't have
The
a
medication?
specialized therapist.
Got
I mean,
you.
he covers that. He can cover it. We can treat that. That's
yeah.
Oh,
not.
okay.
That's not what's imperative for me because I have mine managed and I've managed it on my own.
Right.
Okay, got you. That makes sense. All right.
We don't
without
recommend.
medication.
Hold on. We don't recommend everyone to do that.
No.
But
Yeah, no.
see someone first,
Yes.
and then you look at your options. We don't want you to just take pills off the rip. She can manage it on her own, but it's taken a lot
To even get to
of
that
tools
point.
to get there. Exactly.
Yes.
Disclaimer. Just
Disclaimer. Yeah.
Full disclaimer, please do not. Hey,
Listen.
LikeMinds podcast said go pop pills. No, we did
No,
not.
no,
we
no,
did
no,
not.
no.
We did not tell you
There's
to go pop
other
pills.
avenues. So
No.
explain to us.
First of all, go to a therapist or even your primary care doctor. Your primary care doctor can diagnose you with ADHD.
Yeah.
And seek treatment. Now, medication works for many. I know people who have ADHD and they take medication, and it has a profound impact on their lives.
Mhm.
I opted out of the medication route for this time being. That doesn't mean that I won't ever take medication if I feel like it's not under control.
Right. You
It's
just
your
feel like you can. It's your
preference.
preference. You feel like you can manage it at this point to where you
So
don't
I
even
use
need that.
tools. I use tools.
What are the
Gotcha.
tools?
Yeah. What are the
So
tools?
when I'm working, what I used to do is I used to watch movies while I was working.
Ooh, you
I
like
love
comedies?
that.
You like comedies?
No, I'm a sci-fi
Oh, you
Ooh, me
sci-fi?
too.
like
Or
action.
Hey, I'll do an action
I
one.
like
I ain't gonna
action.
lie.
I like action.
Rush Hour, the Rush
so
Hour
movies. So
for sure.
movies while you're working.
I
Okay,
used to
movies.
listen to them while I was working, but even then that can be, it's a form of distraction. So it was actually feeding my ADHD. It was actually soothing it.
Oh,
So brown noise,
That's number
brown
2.
noise, not white noise.
not white noise.
Not white noise. Okay.
Explain to the audience
Yes.
what brown noise is.
So brown noise it's the same noise that an airplane makes or the fan in the bathroom makes. It has a calming and soothing effect. What it actually
That
does,
frequency, yeah.
because I love science, I'm gonna get into the science.
Go ahead. We
I'm
here.
get into the science because I'm
Like
a
Mine's
science junkie.
podcast. We here.
I'm gonna get into the science. What they believe that brown noise does is actually mimic dopamine in your brain, and dopamine is the chemical
Right.
within your brain that actually like helps you focus.
Right.
What's the chemical in your brain that like helps with happiness or something like that? Is it still dopamine?
Serotonin and
It's
dopamine.
serotonin. No, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know the difference. I thought it was a difference.
Oh,
Anybody
there's a
did that?
difference. Yeah, there's a difference. But dopamine kind of helps us laser focus on things. So if you have ADHD, which has that chronic procrastination,
Mhm.
instead of like seeing, so say you don't have ADHD, right? So you're looking at this camera. You can focus on the camera. You can see the light. You can see all these different tools that are attached to it. You can focus on it and really kind of study it. If you have ADHD, you see everything. You see the
And you
cameraman in the
can't-
back. You
yeah.
see the door in the corner. Like it's hard for you to hyper focus.
Right.
Dopamine, people who have ADHD, they don't have persistent levels of dopamine in their brain to help them focus.
Got you.
So that's when they're like, oh, it's a chemical imbalance. That's the chemical that they're talking about.
So what about? I guess I'm trying to follow you still. So what about like with a genius who like Albert Einstein? He did a whole bunch of things, but he was able to get stuff done in a certain amount of
So
time.
multitasking.
Yeah, he was able to multitask.
So how are
really
you
good.
how are you able to multitask in
and have
a
ADHD?
corporate environment with ADHD?
So I believe that the reason why I'm able to look at holistic treatments for it is because I have specific personality traits or behavioral traits that counteract ADHD.
Yep, that makes sense.
And those some of those behavioral traits that have been identified as, I'm what's the Strength Finders calls, I'm an executor strategizer. So executors always they're just driven to get things done.
I know I liked you.
Right.
I know I liked you.
Right. So I have those things to help me. If you don't have those things to help you, there are tools that you can use.
And what are those apps?
There's an app that I use called Headway. I use that app. I like to learn. I'm a chronic learner, and I use it about 15 minutes a day to stop my scrolling that I like to do on social media. I use that to actually help minimize my distractions when I start.
I
my
may
day.
need that.
All right.
For real.
And you can digest a book. You can digest some articles.
I do
It's
need to start reading.
micro-learning.
I do need to start
Micro-learning.
reading. Micro. Okay, I heard of that. I have heard of that term before.
Right.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, look, we gotta come right back. We're gonna come right back in. I know you about to be a part of Hot Seat. Are you ready for
Definitely.
it? Are you ready to be a part of Hot Seat?
Are
We
you?
still gonna talk a little bit more before we get in the Hot Seat, but I need you to be ready. Are you ready?
The seat is hot already.
Definitely.
We under these lights. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the LikeMinds podcast. My name is Wise.
Subscribe.
Miss Most Precious Gift. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel at the LikeMinds Pod. The email is LikeMindsPod at Outlook.com. LikeMinds Podcast at Outlook.com. And we'll have the phone number here for you in just a minute. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Miss Yonte Lishae.
And Miss Most Precious Gift.
And I'm your boy Wise. So let's go.
Bring the chorus in.
Keep on shining.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here. This is the LikeMinds podcast. My name is Wise. Our special guest, Miss Yonte Lishae, is here, and also Miss Most Precious Gift. And first of all, we just want to give a sponsor shout out. I'm gonna let
Rest in Your Healing LLC.
Yes, all right, and also Likewise Productions LLC. We are both joining together to make sure that we bring you the best that we can for elevation, motivation, and inspiration for your mental. Because again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the LikeMinds podcast, and this is what we're all about. Now, Miss Yonte, we had talked about, especially with this episode specifically, about procrastination. Please give us your top 5 steps for somebody to alleviate the procrastination and actually move in more of a sense of urgency. What you got?
I would never encourage moving in a sense of urgency. So we're going to clarify that.
Already
Because
challenged.
All right.
moving a sense of urgency is a symptom of ADHD. It causes impulsiveness.
Thank you. I
compulsion.
appreciate that correction.
And so I recommend starting out setting SMART goals. SMART, SMART, right? So what the hell does S stand for?
She was on the road until she got there. She was on the road.
Hold on.
Smart. S means stop.
Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. It came back to me.
It came back. Okay.
Yeah, S, specific.
Mm-hmm.
So set a very specific goal. I'm going to eat 2,000 calories a day. I'm going to work out for 42 minutes a day. I'm going to read my Bible 15 minutes a day. So specific. M is measurable. So make it something that you can measure to determine if you're successful or not.
Key metrics.
A, attainable. Don't set a goal that's like, hey, I'm going to be a trillionaire in 3 years, right? It's possible, but it's something that we can actually measure, that's attainable, that we can actually achieve.
Makes sense.
You know, R is realistic. It goes.
I do not like that word. I'm sorry.
Realistic. Why don't you like the word
I
realistic?
can't stand that word. I'm sorry.
Why you don't like the word realistic?
Because that means I gotta think small. It means I gotta think lower. I mean, if I know I could do something, I'm gonna do it. I don't want to be thinking. Don't tell me to think realistic when that in my mind, just from my perspective, that tells me I have to diminish or lower my standards of what I already saw my vision going toward. I don't want to be realistic.
If someone uses that word with you in the future, just say what's realistic for you is not realistic for me.
That makes sense.
So you're a realist. It's what's realist for you. You know what you're capable of.
Teachable moments here.
You know what you can accomplish. So you politely check them and say, "That's your realistic perspective. This is mine."
Yeah, that's your realistic
right. So be real. So be real with yourself.
Yeah, I could be real for sure.
So that's what the R stands for.
Okay, I got
We're
to
gonna
be
change
real.
that.
Change that. Thank you. I
Let me go ahead
appreciate
and
it.
modify that. For
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Be real with yourself. That's what the R stands for.
Thank you.
And T is timely. Set a time frame.
Mm-hmm.
That's the commitment piece. A lot of people who are suffering from procrastination, particularly ADH related, like the idea of time management is very, very challenging. So setting those SMART goals in that format, each single goal that you set, whether it's three goals, 5 goals, set your time frame on how long you want to achieve that. Me personally, I've got short-term, I got long-term goals. I have a 5-year goal.
Me too.
Right?
I got a 5-year too, yeah.
I check in on that.
Love that.
Right? I built a roadmap for that 5-year goal. And then I have 3 small ones. And when I conquer those. I actually used something called the 12-week year. I read a book earlier this year called the 12-week year, and it's for you to accomplish your goals in a year. Accomplish your goals in 1 year with a goal in 12 weeks.
In 12 weeks?
Yes.
Ooh.
I recommend that you read that book. It
Definitely
changes the way that you view time management, your ability to be productive, and how to be productive. I did not publish 12-week year. I don't get any sponsorships for that.
Not yet.
But 12-week year has been life-changing for me in my ability to accomplish goals rapidly. But if you're starting out, start out with small goals, measurable, and then eliminate your distractions. Eliminate your distractions. Distractions can be your phone.
Mm-hmm.
It can be your relationship. Sorry, I got to tell you that.
I know that for sure.
It could be your relationship. It could also be your relationship with yourself. That you have to modify.
Definitely.
And most of all, the biggest proponent is seeking mental health therapy. We have community practitioners where you can see somebody free. If you don't qualify for Medicaid, we've got sliding scales. You can pay for that. If you have an employer, ask them, do they have an employee assistance program? They usually cover 3 to 6 free sessions. Get some help, folks. Let's get it going. Let's get started.
Okay. Well, see, look, thank you for all the information that you've just given this far, the gems that you've already dropped, the challenging aspects. I love it. Libra gang all day. This is what we do. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to come right back, and Miss Yonte Lishae is going to join us for Hot Seat, where we're going to ask the tough questions but get some real answers. Are you ready to get deep?
Oh, definitely. That's my stilo, Hot Seat.
Most Precious is about to lead y'all in the charge. Hot Seat. Yonte,
warm in here.
We already burning. It's the LikeMinds podcast. Let's go. Roll it.
Welcome back to the LikeMinds podcast. We're sitting here with Yonte, Lishae, and you already know who I am, Most Precious Gift, and we are sitting in the hot seat. Okay. Oof. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Don't be nervous. Okay, you got this. Earlier, we spoke about you being a multi-dimensional person, and I wanted you to explain to everybody what that is, because we have millions of them, but they don't know what it is and what they are doing.
Multi-dimensional person. I think we all oftentimes look for a set personality trait in someone. You know, they're typically, they're predictable.
Right.
I'm multifaceted. When I say I'm multidimensional, I can wear many hats. I have different sides to me that I embrace, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm adventurous, but I'm also extroverted, but I'm also a solitary person. I'm a passionate person. I'm also a non-emotional at times. So when I say I would technically be called an enigma.
Okay.
By many.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great answer. We also talk about multiple things dealing with being a single mother, right? Going through college, right? As a brown woman and moving to the corporate world. How did you manage that to be successful in that? Because that's been tried. And it's a certain percentage that actually make it with children that young and through college and through to being like successful in what they're going to do for their whole life. Can you explain to our audience how that looks for you as a woman of color?
I'm be very, very transparent. You know, my idea of success is not what others perceive me as. So
Exactly.
some may believe that I'm successful, but I'm not where I'm nowhere near where I intend to be, right? Where my vision
Right.
is. However, what I have accomplished is breaking generational curses, which
Exactly.
is what I set out to do. So, being a teenage mother, um, I was a straight A student when I got
Hmm.
pregnant with my daughter.
Okay.
I had a scholarship already waiting for me. I was a junior in high school.
Wow, you're young.
I was young.
Wow.
I already had a full ride scholarship waiting for me. And I had a decision to make. And, I just thank my mother because she told me that, that there was nothing that I couldn't accomplish with her help and God's help. So, I moved forward and I was just very determined that I was still going to have the level of comfort in my life that I was seeking to obtain, that I was looking forward to, even with
Right.
my child. And I was going to have it for her. And I was going to break all these statistics. Statistically, I wasn't supposed to graduate from college. I think they said
Wow.
statistically, like most single teenage moms don't get a high school diploma,
Right.
let alone a college degree before 30.
That's true.
Oh, excuse me. I'm
But you're living something different.
living something different.
So that means that women of color can push. They can be supported and they can make it where they want to be, and they see the vision within themselves.
Absolutely. It's your community. Your community makes a difference.
Definitely.
Your community makes all the difference. I cannot take credit for everything I've accomplished. I owe that to my mom, my relatives, my aunties, cousins of cousins. I owe that to friends. I owe that to
Wow.
managers, former
Wow.
coworkers, teachers. I just had so much help along the way. I never forgot those people. It can seem like a small gesture to open a door for someone, to lend a helping hand, a support, a
Right.
kind word of advice, encouragement. It
Mhm.
actually really had an impact in my momentum forward.
Right.
There are challenges being a Black woman in corporate America. I started
Right.
out in the healthcare field. That was a whole different monster. When I moved into corporate America, you start to notice that you're a different. y- We're Black women. We stand out,
You're a
and there's not
different
very
breed.
many of us. There's not very
Mhm.
many of us in the room.
Right.
In these spaces, you face things like where you're constantly having to prove that you know something, anything,
Right.
let alone your job. You're constantly having to prove yourself.
Right.
You have to work harder. You have to be smarter.
Mhm.
You have to be careful because we are deemed or perceived as aggressive.
Exactly.
And I've been called that.
Me too. At every job.
I've been called aggressive. When the funny thing about that is, if I were a vanilla man
Mhm.
displaying the same behavior, which is initiative, which is
Mm-hmm.
firmness, I'd be called assertive and be like, "Yeah, you're a great leader."
Right. Right.
You're a great leader. But when I enact those same behaviors, it's like,
As a leader.
"Ooh, yeah." I've been told, "Ooh, you scared me." I'm like,
Right.
"Oh, really? Okay." I'm not sure how how that comes off, but I always do self-reflection.
Mhm.
And what I find out is the same thing as if I were a male, I'd be considered assertive.
Right.
It's a very uncomfortable space to live in. It's very isolating.
And how many years have you been in corporate America?
14 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
14 years.
That's a long time.
14 years. And I know you.
Mhm.
And we talk about some of the challenges
All the time.
of showing up as our authentic selves.
Right.
And I recently published a white paper about it's how organizations redline redline women out of C-suite roles.
Wow.
And
That's
what
powerful.
I'm calling out is that organizations actually have institutional policies within them that discriminate on women in their advancement.
Yes,
And
yes,
in
it
my
does.
studies, you'd be alarmed. I interviewed 3 Black women who were C-suite
Mm-hmm.
in the state of Colorado.
Wow.
100% of them, all of those women, reported back that they were told to modify their personality and or appearance in order to advance in their career.
Definitely. I've been told that multiple times.
100%. I think for vanilla women, I think it was probably about 60% experience that.
Wow.
All women of color experience being told to change your hair. You need to.
Yeah, you're too colorful.
You need to do
you
this.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those barriers, those are barriers. And I just thank God. I've been told I could be a lot farther.
Mm-hmm.
I could be a lot farther in my career if I didn't. I'm a big advocate for people.
Right.
So
Me
there are
too.
times in corporate America where you're asked to, not necessarily do the right thing for people
Mm-hmm.
and choose an organization. I've always chose people.
Wow, that's powerful because most people choose their jobs or playing or faking the funk and playing that role just to get $1, right?
I'm just not capable of it.
Right.
I've been asked, could I modify just so that I have the ability to advance? Like, hey, Yonte, if you change these things, like, you could really go far. And if you don't socialize with these
and you
subset
have
of
all this
people,
education.
that doesn't matter. They still want you to play the game.
Exactly. Can you state what your accomplishments are on this show and what you've done to be the brightest star in your world and to be a bright star for others that want to advance in career advancement and in their, just who they are personally?
I love my girl, but I don't do very well with like touting my personal accomplishments.
It's okay. I want you to get used to it. This is what this is for, the hot seat.
Let's talk about what I'm doing now. Let's talk about now versus my accomplishments that I've had before.
Okay. Modest. I love it. I love it. You see this?
I published that white paper, with the intentions of calling out organizations and asking them to hold themselves accountable. And through that, I offered my services to go in for these larger organizations, these larger corporations,
right,
when they're hiring C-suite. Because when you think about C-suite determines the culture, consumerism,
right,
also determine our capital, our economy, a lot of different things.
Right.
And if you look at the largest organizations, they don't reflect the consumers, right?
Of course not.
And so we need to diversify our C-suites
Yes.
and our board services. And what they find out, what a lot of organizations report back and say is like, oh, well, we couldn't find diverse talent that met our requirements.
Yes, they could.
Correct. What I think happens is they go in there and there's biases and there's groupthink and all these different things that take place. And so what I've proposed in my white paper was that they should hire an external diversity consultant to come in and help with that recruitment process, train the staff, train the team, the search team as well, to dismantle some of their internal biases, sit on the interviews,
right,
and sit on the decision making,
own it
with the group, right?
Accountability.
So then if the diversity practitioner can spot, some biases that are occurring when you have diverse candidates, things like that, they can call it out, right? So creating an equitable opportunity, that's important to me. That's something that I've accomplished, that I'm also going to move forward with, so that we can start being put into leadership positions.
Okay.
That's a big, big, big thing for me.
So that brings us to diamonds and pearls, okay? Can you explain to people what diamonds and pearls is and how you incorporate your diversity and inclusion in your own consulting business?
Yes. So Diamonds and Pearls is my consulting business, and I'm also a life coach.
Certified?
Yes, I am a certified life coach. As a consultant, I'm serving more of our diversity and equity initiatives. But Diamonds and Pearls also serves individuals and people through coaching, primarily women and women of color coming out of traumatic relationships. I don't think that people recognize the impact of women and the weight that we're carrying, and how it's impacting our families. right now today. And so I think that it's important for us to have some discussions and support networks about as we're going through recovering from those relationships, particularly
Exactly.
narcissistic abuse, battling trauma bonds, self-esteem, self-awareness, or even motivation.
Yes.
Even motivation. Motivation's a big thing. Sometimes we go through things that really can take a hit to our confidence. Right?
Yes. And we stay there and waddle.
We stay there and
Victim
waddle.
mentality and self-sabotaging something that is good for us, but we have never seen what is good for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we victimize and we shut it down before we can even thrive within our greatest selves, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the model of Diamond and Pearls, which is, become your best self, become the greatest version of yourself. I think that none of us choose to get stuck in a victimhood or choose victimhood.
Right.
We don't know how to get out of it.
Exactly.
And like you said, when there's no models for healthy relationships, there's no blueprint. There's this, it's hard to choose. It's hard to choose viable partners. It's hard to determine if you're in a bad relationship. Sometimes your family and friends, because they don't know no better, will keep you.
They definitely
encourage you to be in a bad relationship because they're also in a perpetuated cycle as well.
Right. That's not really good for us.
It's not good for us. And what I found, having been through some traumatic relationship, was that if you have no motivation to get out, think about this. Being in a traumatic relationship, whether it's through emotional abuse, mental, whatever the level of abuse may be, it causes brain damage.
Wow.
Being in a traumatic relationship causes brain damage.
I believe
and if that is not enough for you to get away, knowing that you're damaging your brain, you're shortening your life.
Right.
I don't know what more motivation one could use. A support network. That's what Diamond Pearls is about.
Right.
We got Yonte. We've got my comrade here to help support women through that. That is my next big venture.
Our girl tribe.
Our girl tribe.
Can you explain to them what your girl tribe is like?
The girl tribe. The girl tribe. Okay, so let me tell you how the girl tribe came about. So I have a lot of friends, and I don't say that lightly. There's a difference between acquaintances and friends. I have a lot of friends, all ages, all races, all socioeconomic backgrounds, all walks of life. And so what I started doing was being like, I spend time with this person who's so wonderful. They bring all this enrichment to my life. I think they could help bring enrichment to this person's life, and that person can enrich that person's life. Yeah, and so I decided to bring this collective group of women together.
Yeah.
Through introductions, and I called it the tribe, the sister tribe. And we take care of one another.
Yes, we do. Which we need more of that in the brown community, even with our men, them getting together, and strengthening those.
We got one vanilla woman up in there too.
Okay, you're right. But we need that. And, the man tribe where, it's just basically networking and healthy relationships and mentoring and, business connections where we help each other build new businesses, right?
Yes.
So that has been a great establishment that you established without it just being a thing, right?
Yes.
So do you have like a date that is set for like public launching of your business, or a set date that you want this to be out there? And we want to know where we can find you and your socials and your podcast, because you have a podcast as well.
Do.
What is the name of your podcast?
Reclaim Your Throne.
And say it again.
Reclaim Your Throne.
And then one more time.
Reclaim Your Throne.
Ashe. We're going to reclaim this throne, okay?
Yes.
And when will your next segment be for your podcast?
So my podcast should be published in September. There's a couple that are being recorded right now, and I've got a PR firm that's helping me with that. So we are looking at dates in September. I will be interviewing Miss Most Precious right here as well to talk about spirituality and that journey and how that really matters. Healing. And how that counts as well. Taking care of the whole person, healing our communities from the individuals from the inside out.
And let us know about your LinkedIn, your IG. Let us know those socials before we close out on Hot Seat.
All right, you can find me on LinkedIn under Yonte Lishae. You can find me on Instagram, Queen_Y Lishae.
Yes.
You can find me on Facebook, Yonte Lishae.
All right. So, there's no way that you can miss it. All right. This is the end of Hot Seat. Thank you for joining the LikeMinds podcast. We had a good time with you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Y'all closing out. Peace.
Becoming live and direct.
Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Wise reporting live, and I have to my left
Most Precious Gift.
We are here and we are back with the LikeMinds podcast. We had a great episode today.
We really did. To be our first guest on the show,
Miss Yonte Lishae. We want to just thank her and
my
bless
best
her.
friend.
Her best friend, and
entrepreneur.
Let's go.
Black-owned business.
Let's go.
Woman of color in corporate world, doing it big.
We are, ladies and gentlemen, we had we had an episode today, the gems that were dropped. And we always like to leave with a message of the day. For this last segment, we always like to do this for every single episode. So for me, in the steps that I would tell you to take, the first thing is, especially with procrastination, understand that there is a procrastination. Understand that that there is a problem. And if there is a problem, you can't know to fix something if you don't know about it,
right?
And actually be able to take the steps to move forward and move in that vein. So after that, that's the first step. Understand that there is a problem with procrastination. Number 2, as Ms. Yonte said, set some goals.
Right.
Set some goals for yourself. Just to make sure that, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Set intentions, especially in a timely manner.
Right.
Because we're talking about procrastination here. So you don't want to delay what needs to be done. You want to have things that are done. You know what I'm saying? You want to get things done. And the third thing that I would tell people in the third step is to make sure that they're real goals. Set goals in a timely manner. Make sure they are real goals, all right? Don't go too crazy and don't go far out. Don't delay the process.
Right.
Because a lot of times we end up doing that. We end up delaying the inevitable. And if we can fix all that if we just change the mentality that comes with it and we actually move in accordance to that. I remember what she said about don't be realistic. Oh, sorry. She said be realistic, and I couldn't stand that. But to be real, just be real with yourself. Understand that there is an issue and there's a problem. Set timely goals and move in that intention and that purpose, and you'll find yourself moving in your journey a lot faster and a lot quicker. Especially with procrastination, because I think we all procrastinate to a certain degree.
Right.
But as she said, that's healthy and there's it gets worse. So as long as you make sure that it's in a timely manner. You set goals, set intentions. You be real with yourself in those moments, and actually push forward. Then you'll be good. That's what I believe.
Okay.
Most Precious, you got anything you want to say to the people in message? What you got? What you got?
My first thing would be to love yourself. When during your span of procrastination, just loving yourself. Sometimes just loving on yourself and taking care of that self-care, self-healing will let you slow down and say, you know what? I forgot to do this, right? I forgot to touch base with this. I've been so into that stress zone where, you don't remember things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then the second thing for me would be just do it. Forget the time. There is no time.
Time is an illusion.
Just do it. Put it out. Get the report from it, which is exactly what we're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do it, right? Just do it. No matter what it is, get up and walk the dog. Okay? Make a journal point every day to journal for an hour a day. Write down 20 affirmations that build you up and write them 25 times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That way you can get those things moving as you keep going and just doing them things. A lot of people say, I don't know where to start. Just do it.
Just start something. It doesn't start. You can start at ground zero. It doesn't matter.
Just do it.
And there's going to be imperfections. That's another thing that I want to mention real quick. There's going to be imperfections in the process. Embrace those. Understand that's
Yeah.
all part of the journey. That's
And it
part of
is.
that's a part of the journey for your greater self and for your best endeavors in business and in personal.
Definitely.
So you have to embrace that, okay? Embrace those.
And I think my last one would be
What you got? You over there thinking?
man, I think my last one would be don't care what they say, don't care what they think.
Mm-hmm.
Put you first. Just put you first. Do not worry about anyone else. Put you first. You are not being selfish. Putting yourself first, your vision, your goals, your aspirations, your business, your money, your time, your respect, right? Put
Absolutely.
you first, guys. And they don't teach you that. Put yourself first, but you do not have to be selfish. But that's a part of self-care, self-love, and being real with yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the LikeMinds podcast. My name is Wise, and to my left, I have Miss Most Precious Gift.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you subscribe to the LikeMinds podcast. Okay, at LikeMinds Pod on Instagram and on Facebook. It is the LikeMinds podcast. And I also want to just give a shout out. We've been here this whole time.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a new space right now. This is only temporary, but you never know.
Okay.
Shout out to Mr. Ryan Conway over here at
Thank you
Conway
so much
Sound.
for the space.
He did his thing.
Through.
He came through at the last minute, and so this is just a very lovely place. This is actually where I record, so I appreciate him. Thank you to the team, the crew.
Yes,
that's
for
Liz,
being here.
that's Briz,
Thank you, guys.
that's Dane. Oh my God, and that's also our editor, Mr. Lee Halpin, as well. So we appreciate you guys. Thank y'all so much for being here. We're about to have an amazing time. Thank you to Miss Yonte Lishae. She did her thing.
Yes.
Let's have some fun, ladies and gentlemen. Don't sleep on us, but subscribe. Y'all have a great one, man. It's LikeMinds podcast.
Peace.
Bring the chorus in.